It's a beautiful day here in Western Australia. The sun is not out, and we are here in the country with this 2020 Ford Ranger Raptor. Is this Australia's best four-wheel drive? Let's find out. Now, the Ford Ranger Raptor was developed right here in Australia, and it boasts some very impressive features. Considered as the baby brother to the larger F-150 Raptor, the Ranger Raptor, though, is actually far more capable for the Aussie terrain. Now, to be Australia's best four-wheel drive, you first have to be very capable off-road. And with this Ranger Raptor's specialized Fox Racing suspension and 33-inch BF Goodrich rubber, it is, and some. You also have to be a great daily driver, with enough room to comfortably fit you and all your mates, plus luxury features like a great 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system, custom drive modes, and the single best interior I've seen from any ute in the range. I'm impressed. And well, I should be, because the Raptor starts from $76,000 before on roads, and there's quite a bit of dealer markup. I gotta admit though, this thing does look really badass. Now driving the 2020 Ranger Raptor here, guys, and look, straight away you sit into this car and it is a beast. You stand tall in this thing. Massive view out of the front windscreen here, and I actually quite like the cab in this particular vehicle as well, because they have made it feel kind of special. You've got a nice steering wheel here with a little red indicator at the front to see where your wheels are at any time, kind of thing. You've got these big paddle shifters on the wheel as well. These are actually meant to have been out of the Ford GT, which sounds just absolutely ridiculous. The seats are these really nice supportive leather with sort of Alcantara in the middle. They got the Raptor logo on them. You got this blue stitching everywhere throughout here. Even leather on the dash. It actually does feel quite premium in here. And kind of the only real thing that might be an issue is if you're going to be off-road and getting dirty, you don't really want to dirty this interior because it is pretty nice. This particular one has an automatic retractable hard lid also that you can lock, and it's just so convenient, so lazy, and I love it. It even gives you multiple 12-volt power charging. You've got USB charging here as well. Even a standard household plug is in the back seat and in the tailgate, which is just a massive win. This thing does weigh about 2.5 tons nearly, and when you get into her, well, it's a little bit lackluster, to be perfectly honest, when you're on the road. And if you're going to overtake someone, especially a road train or something, that might be where it's a little bit sketchy. And getting up to speed on the bitumen here, it's not noisy. This is running 17-inch wheels with 33-inch BF Goodrich tires, and I can hardly hear any road noise. It's really well sorted, actually, on the road. And just doing a 0 to 100 here. Planting it. Oh, a little bit of a chirp, even. 80. We're getting 90. 100. There we go. Hey, it gets there. And look, it's not the fastest. It gets up to speed, and being a 10-speed, it's fairly fuel efficient on the highway because you'll be cruising at 100 kilometers an hour at about just over 2,000 revs. So that's the benefit. Now, just quickly, a huge shout out to this week's Patreon supporters. If you guys want to join the Patreon, get early access to content, videos, merch, there is a link in the description, so check it out. And it really does look the part of a Raptor. You look at this thing, it is taller, longer, and wider than the regular Ranger. And my goodness, it's got some road presence. It definitely does. But you know what they say about people that have big trucks. They've got small engines. And this does have a pretty small engine considering the size of this Raptor. This is a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel 4-cylinder. Makes about 210 horsepower and about 370 pound-foot of torque. But let's actually see what this little engine is capable of off-road. Now, off-road, this is really where the Raptor comes into its own, and the whole reason why you would buy this thing, because it's just so capable, and it's so much fun taking this thing off-road, because, my goodness, the Fox racing suspension that's in this, it really is quite mind-boggling what it can do over some of this really rough terrain. And even just in 2-wheel drive mode like we are now, it just handles everything so easily. It really does. This thing drives absolutely beautifully off-road. The steering, although it is a little bit light, you can feel what those front wheels are doing. And this thing is just a monster. Puddles, rocks, sand, mud, dirt, anything you throw at this girl, man, it is just too much fun. And it is true that, look, the faster you actually get this thing up, the smoother it rides. It's unbelievable. Going over these savage potholes, it just takes it. Absolutely. You can kick the back end out in 2-wheel drive mode. This thing is a hoot. It's really good as well that we've got a rear view camera that is pretty clear, pretty easy to see. And it works when you're trying to maneuver this thing around a trail, because it is a big car and you're going to have to turn around sometimes. The fact that you've got that camera, it would really have paid to have had a 360 camera or a camera up the front, because it is quite challenging to actually see over this car because it does have such a big bonnet up front. Now, the craziest thing to me about this ute is just the used price, because like we were saying, this was supposed to have an MSRP of about 76 grand, but in actual fact, you cannot pick one of these up for under 85 grand. The dealer markup is huge, and that is just what they're going for. These things are selling like hotcakes, and on the used market, you see it as well, because you will see 2-year-old examples with 40, 50,000 Ks, and you will still see them trying to get 75,000, 80,000. It is honestly ridiculous. This Raptor is kind of like dating a stripper. It's sexy as hell, it's exciting, but when you get under all that silicone or maybe suspension, it just is a little bit depressing. But it's not all hate, because in actual fact off-road, it still is very torquey. It's got that sense of enough power, at least off the road. It's just on the road, it really does feel lackluster. And I think considering this was designed and engineered here in Australia, it would have been so perfect if this had a turbo Barra. One great thing about the smaller engine is, look, it is quite fuel efficient. Now, this thing is claimed at about 8 liters per 100 Ks, which is bloody impressive considering this thing is nearly 2.5 tons. And when you look at what you're getting combined roughly, it's pretty close, about 10 liters. I'm just having it in Baja mode still, turning the traction control off. It's quick. It's not a rush of power, even when you're shifting your own paddles here. But, for off-road, I do kind of find it hard to believe that you would do anything more than what this thing is capable of. I think it's only really if you were out, in the desert or maybe out in the sandhills that you could probably max out a bit faster. But in general, especially out here on these trails, it is plenty. And those Fox springs, really make this car. You know, if you didn't have this suspension, I think you would just, without a doubt, not even want it. You know, that it's 100%, it makes the car. And the fact that it just lets you do all of this so smoothly, go right,
Yeah, go right.
straight through.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, man. This is just an unbelievable machine, and it just defies the laws of physics sometimes. It really does. And like, coming back the way we came, just get on it. It's unbelievable. This, we're not even in four-wheel drive. We're in two high, and this thing is just not even batting an eye. It doesn't even bat an eye, this thing. It is absolutely so impressive. It's just like nothing. It really is. And the fact you can see these things jumping, you know, like, it is just ridiculous. And the suspension, again, it just, the Fox springs, perfect. They are perfect for this car. They suit it 100%, and they make this whole package. I can't think of anything better. It's honestly, you don't need to do anything. Just buy this from the dealer, take it off-road, you're sorted. And there are very few off-road vehicles available for sale in Australia that can claim that. Very few. I think the only other four-wheel drive that's available here that everyone knows and loves in Australia is probably the 70 series Toyota. And that Land Cruiser is an absolute beast. It's an insane off-roader, but it's from 1970 and they have never changed it since. So although it is really easy to work on, it's great off-road, it is an absolute beast, you do not get any of the luxury with this Raptor. The Raptor just takes you off-road, does it well, straight out the box, and then inside, this thing is still a great day-to-day vehicle, and lots of luxury features inside this cabin. It really does just feel quite premium, nice to sit in, and comfortable.
In conclusion, the Ranger Raptor is big, it's comfortable, it's amazing off-road. This ute rewrites the definition for what most Australian four-wheel drive enthusiasts want. The only big critic the Raptor shows is its lackluster 2-liter engine. And although off the road, that torque is there, it just really struggles to get moving at speed. But if you want the ultimate do-everything, go-anywhere ute, straight out of the box, well, the Ford Ranger Raptor just might be for you. Thanks for watching.